Oh yeah, so while I'm hunting this, there's something I wanted to chat about. So people know about Equal Dragon Weapon and its like whole existence from a concept from Monster Hunter 1. So I was thinking that people were gonna like, okay, this is finally being conceptualized into modern day with the Guardians and specifically Zoh Shia. People are just trying to basically say, no, it's not. It's not the Frankenstein flesh golem that was shown in the original prototype art. And people are going insane about how this is not the same civilization. It's like, no, it is. It's literally the civilization that created the Arshan equipment, the Arshan weapons, and everything like that. The Arshan equipment is supposed to come from the same civilization that would have created the Equal Dragon weapon. So bluntly put it, Zoh Shia is the modern day interpretation that Capcom finally did for Equal Dragon weapon. You could probably even call Arkveld an Equal Dragon weapon because it's an Elder Dragon. Things like the Seikreet, the Fulgur Anjanath, the Otogirin, the Doshaguma, the Rathian, all of those, they are just guardians. But they fall into the category of almost being like a pseudo category of it. And in essence, what you have now is the finalization of it. And because you have it, in the dialogue for why the Guardians came into existence, when talking about Zoh Shia, it's pretty much well said. They needed Zoh Shia to fight something that required the strength of something like Zoh Shia. And if you if you don't understand like the lore or the story behind how strong Zoh Shia actually is, let's just say it has the abilities of Elatrian Fatalis, Crimson Fatalis, White Fatalis, all three forms of Gormagala, and a few other Elder Dragons like Teostra and Lunestra. Because yes, the giant AoE blast is very much akin to Teostra and Lunestra. So yeah, it's a giant behemoth of multiple different Elder Dragons fused into one. Realistically, Zoh Shia could now, and probably is going to now be called, the modern day finalization of the concept of Equal Dragon weapon. Yes, it's a mouthful, but that's what it is. Guardians are more or less the, well, this is what it could be in its early stage, where Zoh Shia is the, I am the pinnacle form of it, I am equal to a black dragon. That's where you get the name. Where quite literally it becomes a black dragon by the end of it, with having the body of a Fatalis fused with a Gormagal and a bunch of other dragons. I kind of wish we saw more Teostra besides the nuke that it can do, because it would just be funny for it to just throw out explosions like Teostra does in the fight. It'd be comical. But I want to see more of what they want to do with this topic, because the Guardian monsters were supposedly extinct monsters. Here's the thing, Fulgur Anjanath is one of them. We fight Fulgur Anjanath in Worlds. Does that mean the Fulgur Anjanath in Worlds is basically a existing branch of the Fulgur Anjanaths? Or are they just long dead and Worlds came before this? I want to know this. Or because it creates an interesting concept where we might get more unique monsters that are supposedly long dead. It's actually a very cool way they could bring a lot more of Frontiers monsters in, how they did with Rise with Espinas. Because if none of you know, Espinas was also a Monster Hunter 1 concept art that was taken into Frontier, heavily unrefined by the way, in base Frontier, that then became what we now know in Monster Hunter Rise as a more refined version of Espinas. And I recommend looking up Espinas, by the way. It's an interesting looking monster in both iterations of Frontier and Rise. Other than that, there's not much I can say about it because it's still very limited in the fact we don't have the title updates nor the eventual DLC. I'll probably touch upon this topic more as title updates come and more as we get things like the DLC with the DLC title updates, because there's usually a few title updates for the DLC, and there's supposedly going to be about 5 title updates from the data mining that people did with the beta and the benchmark. But with that said, what do all of you think with the fact that they left the door open for a lot of Elder Dragons and just in general monsters to come back through the standard through the now basically just infinite potential for the Guardians as monsters? Because they have pretty much every skeleton type that you can have for monsters in Monster Hunter now. They're only missing very few, and I'm talking like maybe something like Cetus, which they could potentially bring Cetus back as a Guardian, but it would be a very weird, like, land Leviathan, akin to the one we just fought, which would be Earth Duna, where it's basically half land, half water now, instead of just a pure water fight. But I don't know how they do it, but they're also bringing back Lagiacrus, if the data mining is correct, which I don't know how they do that. So if they somehow bring Lagiacrus back, well, they could bring back Cetus. With all that said, thank you for watching. God bless. Have a good day.